The landline rings beside a stack of VHS tapes, while a mobile phone someone gave you last Christmas sits untouched in its box. The television stays tuned to the same familiar channel, and a handwritten list of numbers remains pinned beside the receiver. You reach for the corded receiver instead. Your family calls it stubbornness. They say you're difficult, outdated, or unwilling to learn, as though refusing an app proves you've stopped caring about the world around you. To them, the answer looks obvious. Replace the old thing and move on. You're not rejecting technology. You're protecting a world you still know how to control. You grew up when a phone stayed attached to the wall, a television had only a few channels, and plans were made before anyone left the house. You kept paper receipts because they were proof you could hold in your hand. Nothing followed you into every room, buzzed during dinner, changed overnight, or demanded another password before you could do something simple. When something broke, you opened the back, found a loose wire, asked a neighbor, or made do until payday. Instructions came in a folded booklet, and once you learned the machine, it stayed learned. There was no help chat sending you in circles, no update screen moving familiar buttons, and no younger relative watching while you tried to understand what the device wanted. So you learned that competence meant handling life without asking too many questions, and that feeling confused was something to hide before somebody mistook it for weakness. Now, when a bank closes a local branch and tells you to download an app, or a streaming service sends another code to another device, your shoulders tighten and your voice gets sharper. You search for the button that was there yesterday, feel someone waiting behind you, and push the screen away before anyone can see how exposed the new rules make you feel. That old lesson is still running the house. I don't need a mobile phone sounds practical, but underneath it can mean, I don't want to depend on a device that changes its buttons, rules, and language before I've had time to trust it. A landline does one job, gives one clear sound, and never makes me prove who I am before I can speak. Then comes, there's nothing worth watching on streaming. Sometimes that means, the old tapes already know what I like, and I know exactly where the story begins. A screen full of endless choices doesn't feel like freedom. It reminds me that entertainment, conversation, and even shared references have moved somewhere I don't understand. And I'm busy fixing the house can mean, this room gives me a job I can finish. You start hearing the protection beneath the preference. The pattern gets harder to ignore when the same person who refuses video calls also stops attending birthdays, says every invitation clashes with decorating, and replaces old routines with even smaller routines. Then the call is missed because a cupboard needs sanding. Slowly, the home feels less like a place to live and more like a border checkpoint where only familiar things are allowed through. The problem isn't owning a landline, keeping DVDs, or disliking apps. Plenty of people choose older tools and live full, connected lives. The problem begins when every unfamiliar thing becomes evidence that the outside world is no longer meant for you, and every invitation to adapt feels like an insult. And this is where your part matters. You may have protected yourself so well that nobody knows when you're lonely, confused, or frightened. By answering every concern with "I'm fine," "I'm busy," or "I prefer it this way," you turn a private struggle into a fixed personality nobody is allowed to question. The disguise works because independence has always sounded respectable. You repaint the hallway, reorganize the garage, repair a cupboard that still works, and tell your sister you can't visit because the skirting boards need another coat. You keep the radio on for company, then switch it off when the presenter mentions another platform you've never used. The tasks look useful, so nobody can easily say you're hiding. Other people may rush you, mock what you don't understand, close the services you trusted, or treat every question like proof that you're old. But you may also use their impatience as permission to stop trying, because retreat gives you control and protects you from failing in public. Their behavior builds the wall. Your routines can quietly keep adding bricks. Are you choosing the old life because it suits you, or because the new one makes you feel small? Probably both. Under the irritation, the deeper feeling is often relief. Relief that the landline works the same way today as it did yesterday. Relief that a VHS tape never asks for an account, a subscription, a security question, or a code sent to a device you don't use. Relief that a paintbrush gives you a clear beginning, a visible middle, and an ending you can point to. The brush doesn't hurry you, correct you, or make you feel foolish for needing more time. In a world where shops vanish, banks close, friends move online, and ordinary tasks keep changing shape, the familiar object doesn't judge you for arriving late. That relief shows up in ordinary moments. You don't have to admit you missed another family message because it arrived in a group chat everyone assumes you check. You don't have to ask how to join a video call, risk pressing the wrong button, or hear someone sigh while explaining it again. You don't have to enter a room where people discuss shows, apps, slang, holidays booked online, and plans arranged without a single phone call. You can decline before anyone sees you struggling. Then you can say the ceiling needs painting, the shed needs sorting, the wallpaper is peeling, or the old player still works perfectly. Each task gives your hands something certain to do and gives your absence a respectable explanation. For a few hours, the world becomes small enough to master, and loneliness can be renamed productivity. You haven't stopped caring about people? But caring about people isn't the same as staying reachable only through the one method you control, or expecting every relationship to remain frozen in the form it had 20 years ago. Your family may still love you, yet become tired of translating every plan into a system you'll accept, calling 3 times because you won't read a message, or hearing that another visit must wait until the decorating is finished. And you may still love them while quietly resenting the fact that being close now requires learning, asking, and sometimes looking inexperienced. Refusing every new doorway protects your pride, but it also makes other people carry the entire relationship to your front step. A locked door also keeps help outside. Familiarity can shelter you, but it can't keep you connected. So the landline rings again beside the untouched mobile, the VHS tapes remain stacked beneath the TV, and the hallway smells of fresh paint for the 3rd time this year. You tell the caller you can't come over because there's still work to finish, though the wall is already smooth and the room was painted last month. You promise you'll visit when things settle down, knowing another small repair will appear before then. The excuse sounds responsible, even generous, because you're supposedly saving them from your unfinished jobs. When you hang up, the receiver clicks into place, the room goes quiet, and the tasks you created to avoid feeling unnecessary are the only things waiting for you. The silence doesn't accuse you. It just leaves the choice where you can finally see it. The phone in the box is still there, unopened but not impossible. The invitation hasn't completely disappeared, though fewer people now expect you to accept. Somewhere outside that room, a relative is deciding whether to call again or leave you alone as requested. Nobody can promise the modern world will slow down, become patient, restore every old service, or stop making you feel behind. Learning may still feel awkward, and some people may still explain things badly. But the people outside your routine cannot keep proving they want you if every road to you ends at the same locked gate. Eventually, they may stop knocking, not because they stopped caring, but because you kept answering care with another reason you were busy. Will you keep perfecting the shelter, or risk opening it?